Okay, thank you. It's such an honor to have the opportunity to speak with you all today and to share a little bit about my school in Frankfort, Kentucky, Stewart Home School. Um, so we, as Ashley said, are a school founded with the concept to really teach and grow each individual student. So our mission and our vision is centered on meeting students where they are. Our structure is a school, and we want to see students to develop their own personal growth. We work with families and students to identify their goals, whether that be with school, with a particular skill and activity, or vocationally, and grow them to that next level. Our vision is really to build a community where every single student feels valued and supported, and that is what we aim to do. We're small enough to be able to individually know every student, but then large enough to be able to offer a wide variety of activity. So as Ashley shared, we've been in existence since 1893. Of course, that's grown and changed over time. Our founder, Dr. John Quincy Adams Stewart, founded us in 1893, but he was actually involved with AAIDD, a current organization. It had a different name back then, but it has continued its lineage since the middle 1800s. So he was truly an innovator in special education. He ran the State Institute for Individuals with Disabilities at that time for more than 16 years before founding his own school here at Stewart Home School. We have always been a school focused on vocational and educational growth. As times have changed, we have evolved. Today, our youngest student is 14. In the past, we would have had students at a much younger age. But we feel that wide range of age really lends to our community. So 133 years of continuous dedicated care and instruction, even throughout COVID. We never closed our doors. As Ashley shared, we have 933 acres, but our campus really sits on about 100 acres in the center of that. So it's just beautiful green hills, rolling pastures. We have an equestrian program, and so our horses use those pastures, but the school itself is on about 100 acres in the center. All the boys live on one side of campus, all the girls live on the other, and then in the middle is all of the academic buildings, the office buildings, the equestrian program, our gym, and all of our activities. As we shared, it's been 5 generations of stewards to own and operate Stewart Home and School. Our current Dr. John Dowling Stewart, our 5th generation, is here every day. He was a practicing surgeon for 3 decades in Lexington, Kentucky, and then he transitioned to us full time about 10 years ago. I will share that in 1881, our founder hosted one of the first conferences for individuals with disabilities around education and growth and care here in Frankfort, Kentucky. Dr. Stewart often talks about the fact that that would have been a major journey for people to travel here. Conferences weren't 3 days, they lasted 3 weeks, and that was held right here in Frankfort, Kentucky by our founding owner, Dr. John Quincy Adams Stewart. So we have just around 300 students. We tend to go up a little bit in the summer and down a little bit in the winter. We don't have a contract or any minimum length of stay, so you can come to us for a couple of months, a couple of years, or a lifetime, depending on what your family is looking for, what your student needs. So, right around 292 to 315, but just around 300 students. And that's really where we want to stay. We don't have plans to grow and expand. That's the size that we feel is manageable for us to maintain the integrity of our program and to be as dedicated as we need to be for each individual student and their families. Right now, our youngest student is 16 and our oldest student is 90. Everybody's a student regardless of age. We're all growing and learning and pursuing our interests. The average age of our students is 45. 50% of our students are under age, are age 49 and under, and then about 40% are age 40 and under, and then the rest are age 49 and over. You can see the age distribution. We feel that this distribution of age really lends to the community. Our students don't see age in a lot of ways, but our older students enjoy mentoring and helping our younger students. And our younger students love pouring into and sharing with our older students if they have a particular skill in art, to go and work on an art project with our older students. So it's a true community here where everybody can find value and meaning in helping others. Our students come to us from all over. We really have a national profile. Um, you know, the most of our students come from Kentucky and its contiguous states. But with that said, we've got students from Oregon, from Florida, from Norway, from India, from all over. So you don't have to be from Kentucky to come here. In fact, we enjoy the diversity in our program with where our students are from. And we get a lot of fun rivalries around sports, people who have hockey fans of particular hockey teams or baseball teams, football and basketball, and they've decked their dorm room out in their colors, and we get some good rivalries at Super Bowl time. It's also a diverse community in our sort of disability profile. Of course, our number one diagnosis is autism. We have about 88 students here with seizure disorders. Um, and we feel like our staff have so much experience with managing seizures and dealing with those types of issues that um, we tend to specialize in that. Uh, our number two diagnosis is Down syndrome. We have a number of students with cerebral palsy, and then just a myriad of other disabilities, Fragile X, Williams syndrome, um, lots of different types of disability categories here. And again, we feel that it lends to the beauty of our community, complementing one another with our particular personality traits. It's just a beautifully diverse community here, both age and disability category. The level of support that our students gets varies, depending on need. We do not do one-on-ones. That is something we do not do. However, you might be in a class that has 6 students in it, or you might be in a class that has 20 students in it, depending on your need. We have 300 students, as I've said already, but 170 staff. Now, that's including all staff, grounds and maintenance and kitchen and office staff, teachers, residential. But there's a lot of humans on this campus to pour into students. And our students work alongside of us. Everywhere you see us, you'll see a student working. And so oftentimes those staff that are in an office capacity or working in maintenance will also be working with students. Our dorms range in size as well. Each dorm is unique, has its own personality. That depends a lot on the students that are there, of course, but also the house parent. But the average range is about 1 to 18 on a dorm. Our smallest dorm has 12 residents, and our largest dorm has 30 residents. Now, the dorm with 30 residents does have 2 house parents for that dorm. So it gives you a little bit of idea of the range and age for our students. One important piece of what we do within the school program is our correspondent class. Our corresponding teacher is the teacher that becomes sort of the case manager, the point person for the family. Those range also in size from 8 to 27. I have to say that, the correspondent teacher that has 27 students in their classroom, that they're responsible for communicating with the parents. They have worked here for almost 30 years, so they have collected students over time. And so those students really become a part of their extended family. So it's not a huge ask to have a large size in your correspondent class, because it's just like talking to your own aunts and uncles and family, because they really become an extended part. We've had correspondents attend weddings with students, attend funerals with students. They know all of the family that are coming to visit their student. They're the person that's communicating with families about the trips that are coming up. the activities that are coming up and getting permissions for students to participate in those things. So, for example, basketball season starts in January, so correspondents would reach out probably in November to let families know that basketball season was coming up, that we were going to have 6 basketball teams. Does their student want to participate? Or your student has told me they want to participate. Are you okay if they participate in basketball? The same for scheduling classes. That's also the person that writes the IEP for the student. So that is your corresponding teacher and your house parent are the two closest relationships that you would have with staff on campus. But then there would be a number of people pouring into your student every day, from attendance staff to other classroom teachers, to people who are leading activities. So we really want Stewart Home and School to be a place to call home. And we often comment that we're Stewart Home and School. And that home piece is incredibly important. We use dorm style living, so everybody has their own private room. We have house parents that live on the dorm with us. They're not people coming and going in shifts. So they really get to know the student very well, their bowel and bladder habits, their likes and dislikes. That continuity of care is really important to the integrity of our program and how it has been over the last, century. Um, Students can personalize their room. They can choose the color if you're coming on what we call a standard enrollment, which would be not just a couple month visit, but you're intending to stay for a while. You can choose the color of your room. You can decorate it however you like. But the bathrooms are shared. We feel that's very helpful. The house parents are in the bathroom with students while they're brushing their teeth and taking their showers. So some students are getting hand over hand assistance with toothbrushing. Some students are just having their teeth brushed by the house parents. Some might just need a little help putting the toothpaste on their toothbrush, and some might just need a prompt to brush their teeth, and others might be completely independent. But the house parent is in there able to supervise, able to watch, and provide assistance as needed. Family meals are served on the dorm. So the food is prepared in our kitchen and sent to the dorms by the kitchen. And we have, a nice variety in our menus. We have a 5-week menu system where they're rotating and students get to where they really look forward to the meals, Taco Tuesdays or whatever. They apparently really like tomato soup and grilled cheese in the summer. But they're served in the dorm, and the house parent is there again to, observe, to help students. If there's a student that doesn't like a certain thing, they can call and get a substitution. They're making sure that the kitchen is sent everything according to the student's allergies and that sort of thing. But the students eat together on the dorm. We do breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. We eat an early supper, so we do a snack at 7:30 when students come back from recreation. And medications are also administered at the dorm by the house parent during those meal times. So there's not unfettered access to food on campus, but there's plenty of access to food. But for students who might be food seeking or who might have a tendency to overeat, those meals are set by our kitchen and the house parent. And so there's not a lot of opportunity for overeating. The house parents are incredible people are fortunate to have house parents who have been here for decades, and they can really help students grow, whether that's becoming independent with your toothbrushing or becoming dependable and making sure you're actually going to take a shower without prompting. They're there to help build those skills. A lot of the growth with our students within the dorm setting happens just peer to peer because our students want to do what everybody else is doing. So everybody else is in the bathroom showering and brushing their teeth. So they kind of want to fit in. So they want to do that. We also have something called self-care. Those students still eat all of their meals and take their medications on the dorm with the house parent and eat with the other students, but their dorm room would either be further down the hall or it might be a level above or a level below in the building of that dorm. So there's not a house parent at their fingertips. Those are our leaders on campus. We don't start anyone off on self-care. You have to earn your way to self-care. by proving that you're dependable, showing that you can follow the rules and be depended on to take your showers without prompting, be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. But that's a little bit about dorm life. Like I said, all the boys are on one side of the campus and all the girls are on the other. So, and the dorms are not, there's not like a dorm for just older students or a dorm just for students with a particular diagnosis. It's a real community. So there's younger students and older students together on the dorm and all different types of disabilities on the dorm. We run the same schedule, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Of course, there's a little bit of flexibility within that, but our students are getting up at 6 or 6:30 every morning, getting dressed and ready for the day, having breakfast on their dorm. So all the dark blue colors are time on the dorm. All the orangey colors are time in school program, and then this kind of, sea green color is recreation. So just to share a little bit about that, students are leaving their dorm and walking to class at 8:30 in the morning. They are either in classes, activities, or vocational assignments, whether it's Monday to Friday or the weekend. That time is managed by school program. So Monday to Friday, more than likely you're going to be in classes. You might come out of a class to go to an activity like yoga or horseback riding or driving or something like that. Or if you have a job, your job would take place, during a typical workday from 8:30 to 4:30 or on the weekends as well. So class, activity, or vocational assignment. On the weekends, we don't have classes, but you have activity, vocational assignment, and recreation is happening during those times. Students walk back to their dorm for lunch. We have an hour and a half for lunch. It's a nice leisurely lunch, so you have a little bit of time to rest in your dorm room, have lunch together as a group with all your dorm mates, and then a little rest time afterwards, and then back down to more classes, activity, or vocational assignments at 1 o'clock. And then back to the dorm for dinner at 4:30. We eat a very early supper here, so we're eating right around 5 o'clock, and then back out for evening activities at 6 o'clock. At 7:30, students come back to their building for snack, showers if you shower in the evening, a little bit of rest time, and it's lights out by 10 o'clock for us. But most students are tired because that's been a really busy day of moving around a lot. So we have students that are going to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Students who shower in the morning might be able to get to bed quicker. And then we do it all again. And we feel like students who thrive on rhythm and structure and routine sometimes come to us and they just get in their groove and they love it and they thrive on that routine. But of course, there's flexibility within that. We do splash parties in the evening. So sometimes they're getting back a little later, or we're going to a Cincinnati Reds baseball game. I saw that the students got back from the baseball game last night at like 11 o'clock at night. So, there's still flexibility in there, but that's the structure of our program. So another big piece of what we do is our student health. We don't really advertise it, but it is, something that is really important to our program. And I think 5 generations of Dr. John Stewarts to own and operate Stewart Home School have built that foundation. So we have our student health is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. During the day, it is staffed by nurse practitioners, nurses and lay nurses, CNAs, CMAs. On the weekends, it's more of the CNAs, CMAs, and the nurse practitioners are on call. And then in the evenings, our night watch staff operates out of student health. So to clarify, we do not have awake staff on buildings at night. That is what Night Watch is doing. They're rounding on buildings. So being able to sleep through the night is an important thing that we would be looking for in a student that would be successful within our program. So Dr. Stewart often comments that, we're both a primary care practice and an urgent care center. So you can walk into student health at any time of day and say, my tummy hurts, my head hurts, I've got a rash. Your parent or guardian can call and say, hey, I was on the phone with them earlier, or we were FaceTiming and they just didn't seem themselves, or can you check them out? And then all of us on campus are caregivers in that we can refer students. So I've had students come to my office and thought this, something's a little bit off with this guy. Let's get him checked at student health. So really, access to care is really amazing here. Of course, we become the primary care practice for about 90% of our students. A lot of that is just convenience for families. If you live in Kentucky, it's easy for you to keep your doctor at home. And even if you live a little bit further afield, you might want to keep your doctors at home initially. But as you know, that trust relationship is built and families don't want to spend all the time that their student is home visiting in doctor's offices, it's just easy for our staff to become primary care practice. You can choose, there's no pressure either way. It's just whatever's best for families. With that said, our nurse practitioners are getting feedback from teachers, from residential, from all of us, and from parents and the student themselves. So it really is a 360-degree view of that student and their care. We have a psychiatric nurse practitioner that comes to campus once a week to meet with our students, and we have neurology that comes every 2 to 3 months. And then everything else we refer out for cardiology, podiatry, any other specialist your student might need. We would refer either here in Frankfort, Kentucky, or in Lexington. We also take students more rarely to Cincinnati or Louisville, Kentucky. Of course, we always call families and communicate with them when we need to talk about anything medically related. If your student does show up with a rash, we might go ahead and put hydrocortisone cream on them and then call you. Or if it's something more serious, we might call you, get permission, and then do that. In addition to our school program, we also have, counseling, like talk therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and music therapy that come to campus. Most of those, because of the age of our students, are private pay because most of our students have reached that kind of, according to Medicaid, Medicare have reached that plateau. So, but those services are available if a family would like to pursue them. And we find that we still see incredible growth with our students, regardless of age, at Stewart Home School, and are grateful for the therapies that we offer. Our music therapy program is really a very well loved here, but we also have our own music program on campus that is incredibly popular and therapeutic in itself. So aging at Stewart Home School, like I said, our youngest student is 16 and our oldest is 90. So what does that look like at different times and ages and stages of life? I think having our medical office here is incredibly important to that, to support, as things change, we develop a spine condition and our back starts to hurt, or we, have GI issues that develop over time. And our student health can put measures in place to increase longevity, by preventing some of these issues from becoming acute in the first place. We also have a program for our aging students. We call it Redmond Hall program. It's named after one of our superintendents who used to live on campus. It's a home and it has a music room, it has an exercise room, it has a recreation room, it has a library, a living room, and a kitchen. And so students can enjoy a variety of activities in that program, but they don't have to transition from class to class to class. It really helps with mobility. You'll see, if you came to Stewart Home School to tour, you would see students with walkers and canes. And so we can do a lot. We transport students on campus. We can transport you from your dorm to your program, but once on your program, you need to be able to ambulate from, the room that you're in to the bathroom, or from your dorm room to the dining room. We are an ambulatory campus, so that is a requirement to be here. With that said, we do a lot. We have a student with cerebral palsy who was primarily using a scooter before he came here, and he rarely uses that scooter now. He's able to navigate campus very efficiently and well. So with our fitness center, his strength has improved, and he's been able to navigate our campus very well. So like I said, we're a program built around lifelong learning. We're all lifelong learners as staff, and we love that we're a school. We all make mistakes and we all grow, and we're growing together. So I teach a leadership class along with Sandy Bell, who was our longtime director here for 56 years. So we teach a class, and we talk a lot in leadership class about how grateful we are that we can learn and grow together. So, like I said, everybody's a student. Even our 90-year-old is a student. We have a pre-academic program and an academic program. The way we break that down is we assess students when they come in. Look at the data that a family shares with us, and we determine which program we think would be most appropriate. We also have those students that kind of span both programs. They might be in a pre-academic reading class or a pre-academic math class, but they might take science in our academic program. So we have classes like typical classes like science, social studies, reading, writing, math. We've got pre-emergent reading skills, early numeracy skills. We've got communication classes. We have electives like music, handbells, choir, uh, art, fiber arts. We just added a fiber arts class this year. Computer classes, all those types of electives that you might have. Then we've got social skills classes, social development classes, daily living skills, practicing good hygiene, learning how to change sheets on a bed, those types of things. And then vocational classes. We also offer a class that we call Junior Achievers, where it really gives us a good picture of what a student would be like in a work environment here on campus. And they do things like assume responsibility for a small piece of the grounds, or they might do some weeding and some lawn mowing. They might, if a family sends a bedside table on Amazon to us, they might read those directions together, put that piece of furniture together as a group and deliver it to the dorm. They might paint a hallway or a banister. So lots of project-based learning. They might help set up chairs for an event. And so we're seeing how well they can follow directions, how good they are at following through and attending to a task. But we also have students, like I said earlier, that work right alongside us, and then we have students that work in the community. So on campus, there's vocational opportunities in laundry, in the kitchen, in residential, in marketing. We have students that work in student health, collecting students and answering phones and things like that. And then once we get a real sense of how the student is going to perform in a work environment, we can begin to seek off-campus employment. We have students that work for the Kentucky State University. We have students that work in a number of restaurants, in a community center, in retail, just a lot of different opportunities for work in this community. Frankfort's a small town. It's a population, it's the capital of Kentucky, but the population is 36,000 people. So everybody really knows us well. We have a long history in Frankfort, and Frankfort is proud to have us here. And so we're grateful for the community that we're situated in. They're very kind and supportive to our students. Our mayor of Stewart Home, we have our own student government. So the Stewart Home School mayor lights the Christmas tree at Christmas time with the mayor of Frankfort. So, we have lots of these connections throughout the year. So every day is a full and engaging day. So students that thrive on structure, routine, and being busy do well with us. It's classroom instruction, technology, art and music, PE, lots of sports. We participate in most of the Special Olympic sports. I think apart from gymnastics, we participate in all of them. And so all of that builds a sense of community and confidence within the student. And, we see students that come here that have come up against obstacles their whole life, and here they're able to contribute on their dorm and help another student get to class or work in the laundry. And we see shoulders go back and heads come up, and confidence and independence and true meaningful friendships emerge and develop. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of every day. Like I said, we have a number of training and employment opportunities for students. On campus, we do culinary arts classes, teaching our students how to cook and how to make healthy choices. They love that class. I think we call it culinary productions. The horticulture and grounds is an opportunity for them to develop and grow. Office administration, you can see Marta at the copier. She works in our HR department, and she loves it. We have students that work in the business office. Generally work starts off as volunteer, but if a student is filling a position that we would pay someone to do, then we pay them as well. And the same in the community. So we have students that volunteer in the community at Lifehouse, a no-kill animal shelter. They walk dogs and pet cats and things like that. They also volunteer at local nursing homes as just kind of companions. We have a student that plays the piano at one of the nursing homes in town, and they love it. But then there's also gainful paid employment as well. Then we have a real mix of both. So it just really is building those essential skills that a student needs to be successful in a work environment. So every day at Stewart Home and School is enriched in some way or other. You have that core um, classroom schedule that you're following, but you also have access to our equestrian program, to our theater and music programs. Our drama department produces 2 to 3 plays a year. Our chorus is always out singing at different churches and different community events. They've sang at the Women in Networking event. Our students will open their annual event. There's lots of opportunity for trips and travel. We try to take at least 2 big trips a year. So, for example, last spring we went on a Disney cruise, and then this spring we did San Antonio, Texas. So there's opportunities for big trips, but then there's also opportunities for smaller, more regional trips in the fall. Last fall, we went to Michigan and did Ann Arbor, Michigan. The year before that, we went to Indianapolis. So generally, the one in the spring involves air travel, and the one in the fall is more we rent a coach, and it's coach travel, and it's a Monday to Friday. So depending on, it allows there to be budgeting for families, just like you budget a big trip once a year and maybe a smaller trip. At Thanksgiving, we do a Christmas getaway that's really intended for students. It was started for students who weren't getting to go home for the holidays, so that they would have something special to look forward to, but it's kind of expanded. We get a big chalet, one of those that has like the swimming pool in the basement, and the students have a lot of fun. And that's only like a 3-day trip. It's more accessible for students. During the summer, each season at Stewart Home and School kind of has its own rhythm too. So in the summer, we want our students to have a summer just like everybody else has a summer. So we're going to the zoo, the aquariums, the museums, boat rides. It's really focused a lot on that. In the fall, we tend to get more learning and growth in classrooms, but our trips are centered around, pumpkin patches and corn mazes and things to do with fall and fall festival. In the winter, it's a lot of Christmas lights, and in the spring, it's a lot of basketball. We get season tickets to UK basketball games and do those. So lots of sports and museum, art, music, we're into all of it. So, and if we're not doing something and a student is interested in it, all they have to do is bring it to our attention. And that's the beauty of having a campus community the size that we are, is if you might like Laurie Berkner music, and we've never heard of her before, but probably 5 other students have, and we can get a group and make that happen for your student. So we participate in sports year round. We do basketball, bowling, soccer, softball, bocce. Um, I just went to the summer games this past weekend, and we competed in track and field, bocce ball, and soccer. And lots of different capability levels within those sporting teams. And we really like it to be a mix on each team. We see a lot more growth in our students, and we see growth over time. The first time somebody plays basketball, they might just hold the ball and stay on their offensive court and shoot the ball. But the next season, they're kind of running up and down and really tracking the game. So we see a lot of development and growth in that. Students who you thought maybe would never play basketball end up being good basketball players. So we really just want each student to pursue their goals. We do that by having an IEP for every single student. We continue to work with families to develop that, and students to set their goals and identify what those are and work toward it. You can't do everything in a year. So we choose a few things to work toward with the student, and every year add a new goal and work toward those. We want our students to have the opportunity to discover new passions, new hobbies, new skills, and we want to offer those opportunities to them. So we truly are grateful that we're a school. A little bit about our cost and tuition. So our tuition, room and board is $4,700 a month. It's the same for everyone, regardless of, need. And then we ask that family, and that includes, your all of the school program and life on the dorm. We ask that families budget an additional $300 to $500 a month for incidentals. You can spend less than that if you budget, and you can spend a whole lot more than that if you don't. Um, so some of those things that might cost extra are things that would cost us extra. So we take our students off campus bowling. That has an extra cost for us. So we pass that cost along to you. Writing lessons. We charge a $20 a month laundry fee. If you want Wi-Fi, then there's a cost for Wi-Fi. Of course, the big travel costs extra, and then Special Olympic sports. So Special Olympic sports, that's a whole season. So that's lessons every night with staff. That's traveling off campus. That often includes an overnight for regional competitions. So those, are bigger investments. But the core of our tuition is $4,700 a month. So what have we learned in our 133 years? I think we want our students to love their life at Stewart Home School. And so we have to always be reframing ourselves and reorienting ourselves to to that end, to that goal. So it's how we train our staff. It's what we're offering in order to ensure that our students are thriving to the highest level that they can here. And I think what I have learned and what has been taught to me is that we have to stay true to who we are, and that's a school, and be clear on who we serve. We can't be everything to everyone, or we wouldn't be who we are. There needs to be, just as your group often supports, is choices for everyone. So we have to be clear on who we are, who we serve, and what our values are, and stay true to those. And that's why everything that we do has to go back to, well, we're a school. We're about learning. We're about growth. We are a non-ambulatory, we're an ambulatory campus. So we can't deviate from those. We'll oftentimes have families say, well, I would really like, could I just have a one-on-one? We don't do one-on-ones, and we're clear on that. Um, and we've seen students, that doesn't mean if you have a one-on-one, you can't be successful here. You just aren't, we need you to be successful here without that one-on-one. We've seen students come to us with one-on-ones and they don't need it when they're here. So I think it's important for organizations to be clear on their values and who you're serving and be true to that. One of our themes for Family Weekend a couple of years ago was be true to your school. And I think that's an important thing for people to remember. So knowing who you are and knowing who you're not. We're not a behavior program. We don't have ABA therapists and BCBAs. With that said, we manage a lot of behavior. But if a student is aggressive and requires a one-on-one and needs all of that, then we're probably not the place. We're not adequate to meet their needs. And we're also not designed to be a short-term placement. We really are a community. We do allow short-term placements, but our goal is really looking that down the road to what life is going to look like for that student in 10, 15 years. We do a 2-week enrollment would be about the least I would consider. I prefer a month. I think it takes at least a month for a student to come in, to get to know our program, to get comfortable, and to enjoy their time before they were to leave. So who we are, we're a school. We're all about lifelong learning, pursuing our interests and growing. We're a home. So that residential piece is incredibly important for us. We want it to be a home environment, and we're a community for life. So really seeing students through all those ages and stages of life. So looking ahead, people often ask us, like, what are our goals? Where do we want to go? We've had people ask, have you considered opening another one of these in a different state or franchise? We're not interested in that. We really just want to be the best version of ourselves for our students and our families every day. Um, you know, I think, again, being true to who we are and constantly reorienting ourselves. We want to be innovative. We've always been innovative. We want to continue to innovate, but we want to do that within the structure of who we are. Um, when you think about what pressures we face, I'm sure it's the same pressures that most other organizations are facing, which is inflation, staffing, and technology. I think the cost of human care is increasing, and it's not something that can be done virtually. You have to be present every day, and that can be a challenge. And I think in a litigious society that we live in, you're one major incident away from, you have to be able to consider that regulatory liability. I think technology is something that we're really, kind of struggling with, not from a professional office level, but more from our students and managing their technology. I think it's been a challenge for us. Social media and all of that has created new problems that, we're learning how to navigate. And I think those are really inflation, staffing, and technology are the main things. So for programs, we have programs call us a lot and want advice, and we are happy to share. We talk to people all the time about, what works for us, and happy to chat with any organization looking to start out. So I think advice I would have would be to come and see us and go and see your peers. I think that is the way I have learned the most. I've seen a few friends on here already, and I think those friends have been incredibly helpful to me and to us to share about, what our challenges are and how we navigate problems, and just networking with your organizations is so critical to developing your own systems and processes. So find those networks and visit with people. And then again, I think it's so important to know who you are, who you're going to serve. Be clear on your purpose. If you try to be all things to all people, then you'll end up being nothing to none. You really have to know who you're serving, what you're setting out to do, and be clear on your values and how you're going to do it. Um, so that's the end of my presentation, but I do want to share some personal transformations. I've got 4 pictures here. On my right, but I don't know how it faces with the computer, is a gentleman, an older gentleman, Wayne. He came to us at the age of 68. He had lived with his mother his whole life. And they had lived for many decades in an assisted living community, independently in an apartment. And his mother passed away, and he was continuing to live there. And he had gotten in on the ground floor of that assisted living community. Um, and most of those people had passed away, and a new generation was coming in. And the new people were not as receptive to him. His mother wasn't there to be his ambassador. He wasn't having good friendships and relationships, and was developing more anxiety, feeling uncertain about, who was it safe to talk to and what could he do. And so his guardian called us, and he has come to Stewart Home School and has just done wonderfully. He has friends, he's engaged in classes. One of his hobbies is writing letters to people. So we've created time and space for him to write his letters. He loves riding a bicycle. So we created a bike path for him on campus. And so he's riding his bike. On the far other side is a young girl who came to us. When she came, she was nonverbal. And oftentimes we're hesitant to share this story because we don't ever want to overpromise or make promises, but she was nonverbal when she came to us, could not sit in an assembly, would just pace in the back of the gym. And now she will come right up to you on campus and introduce herself and talk to you and tell you that you're a princess and she's a princess, and can communicate, and has grown and just has thrived here. The other lady next to Wayne on the other side, she was a really capable, high functioning girl who was in a program. She's done numerous programs, and every time she would get to the end of the program, when it came to be completely independent and live on your own and have a job, her anxiety would take over, and it would become almost crippling for her, to the point where she would stop and call 911. And here when she first came to us, she was nervous and shaky, and she ran for student council. She cried in the middle of her speech and couldn't get through it. She just made a speech in front of our entire student body and families at Family Weekend because she's our mayor now and got through the whole thing and now is mentoring other students taking their first time singing in public or making a speech. And the other boy just came to us a couple of weeks ago, and he has slid right in, and he's 16 years old. So I wanted you to see that this wide age range, this wide range of capability really makes a community where our students can help one another, find purpose and meaning in being leaders for each other, and just this mutually beneficial community. And that's really all I have for you today. So thank you so much for the time, for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.